Audiobook. The American Pit Bull Terrier by Joseph L. Colby.
The origin of the Pit Bull Terrier. The Pit Bull Terrier was made from the Bulldog and the Old English White Terrier. It has been said that a cross of the Old Spanish Pointer was used, but this has never been confirmed to be authentic. The exact ratio in which each breed was used to produce the Pit Bull Terrier is not known. During the 19th century, when bullbaiting and dog fighting were active sports, the bulldog was considered too slow for fighting purposes, hence the need for a dog with more speed and a good strong, punishing jaw. This new breed was successful and far superior to the bulldog for pit fighting. One of the first strains that was produced was known for its gameness and fighting ability. A lord and his son were reputed to have won many battles and not been defeated. After the bill was passed declaring bullfighting and dogfighting illegal, the Pit Bull Terrier became associated with the city's smartly dressed youth, boxers and tavern keepers. Most improvised combat was staged in the basements of taverns or in some isolated encounter in a small village. Little change has taken place in the appearance of the Pit Bull Terrier. The most noticeable change that has appeared is the head. Today's dogs tend more towards the more terrestrial type than towards the bulldog type, as was common among the first dogs of the 19th century. The writer has seen strong features pop up every now and then, disclosing his ancestry. The most common features are bench legs, screw tail, undershot and low station. Still, an exact replica of the Old English White Terrier was produced, in the skin of a Pit Bull Terrier. Although these characteristics rarely appear, they are more commonly found in inbred dogs. The history of the American Pit Bull Terrier. In the 19th century, England passed a bill that made the sport illegal. Shortly after this bill was passed, the Pit Bull Terrier began to fade from the public eye, as no one felt they wanted to be known as the owner of a pit dog, due to the penalty the law prescribed for anyone guilty of fighting dogs in the arena. A few years later the breed seemed to revive and was given the name Staffordshire Terrier, by which the breed is still known in England. However, when dog fighting was introduced to the United States, the old name Pit Bull Terrier stuck with the breed, and the author believes that they will never be known by any name other than American Pit Bull Terrier. When the Pit Bull Terrier was introduced to America, it was most commonly found to belong to prize fighters, hall keepers and habitués, sportsmen and the like. From the beginning the breed gained an unfair reputation due to its fighting ability and the character of the owner. To this day, he is still trying to live up to an unfair and undignified reputation. Around the turn of the 20th century, the breed was rapidly becoming popular and the pit dog found its way into the homes of men from all walks of life. Dog magazines ran advertisements and illustrations of dogs that had gained a reputation in the pit, and through this advertising many dogs were sold and fought for large sums of money. Much of this popularity was due to the notoriety given to Harry Krieger and his dog, Crib, Cockney Charlie and his dog, Pilot, and Johnny MacDonald's, Grip, more commonly known as house dog Gas, McGough's, Bob, better known as Bob the Fool, Connor's Bismarck, Rock and Rye, and many other famous dogs with a proven reputation in the pit. Since dog fighting is an illegal sport, thousands of dollars are gambled every year on boxing. As long as these dogs are bred, there will be pit competitions to prove who owns the best fighting dog. Some of the many breeders past and present who were active in the fighting and breeding of bloodhounds are Tom O'Rourke, Hector Connor, Pat McDevitt, Johnny MacDonald, Ted Timoney, John Galvin, J. Edwards, Con Reardon, Jack Burke, the Farmer Brothers, Con Feely, Mike, Redican, Noonan, Semmes, John P. Colby, George Armitage, William Shipley, Wolfe and Tom McGough. Some of the current men who have had success in hound production are Pete Donovan, Earl Tudor, G. Carrot Williams, Al Brown, J. M. Corrington, Ham Morris, Joe Curvino, Walter Komosinski, Harry Turner, C. P. Delaney, Charles Smith and Harry Clark. To date, the breed is rapidly advancing in popularity. The author predicts that within a few years there will be such a demand for hunting dogs for sporting purposes that it will be beyond production. Due to the fact that this breed has withstood the so-called depression that prevailed is proof enough that there is a market for the M, although they have a bad reputation in the dog world. Dog fights in the last 2 years have increased by more than 50% compared to the previous 2 years. Which proves that the sport still exerts fascination. New faces, new dogs, new breeders gain recognition every year, and the game is on an unrivaled upward trend. Donovan's Boxer, produced about 37 years ago, created by John P. Colby. Newburyport, Massachusetts. Owned by Pete Donovan. American Pit Bull Terrier Standard approved by the United Kennel Club, 1936 head, medium length, brick-shaped, flat skull and widest at the ears, with prominent cheeks, free of wrinkles. Snout, square, broad and deep, jaws well pronounced, showing strength. The upper teeth lie firmly over the lower teeth, outside and front. Ears, cropped or uncropped, not important, should be set high on the head and free of wrinkles. Eyes, dark and round, it should be placed farther down the bottom of the skew. Nose, black preferred with wide open nostrils. Neck, muscular, slightly arched, tapering from shoulders to head, without loose skin. Shoulders, strong and muscular, with broad, sloping shoulder blades. Back, short and strong, slightly sloping from the withers to the croup. Slightly arched in the loin, which should be tucked up slightly. Chest, deep, but not too broad, with broad, sprung ribs. Ribs, close, well sprung, with deep ribs. Tail, short compared to size, set low and tapering to a fine point, not carried over back. Legs, large and round, with pasterns straight and straight, fairly strong. Medium-sized feet. The gait should be light and springy. No rolling or walking. Thigh, long with developed muscles. Hocks down and straight. Coat, shiny, short and hard to the touch. Color, any color or marking allowed. Weight, not important. Women preferred 30 to 50 pounds. Men from 35 to 60 pounds. Colby's Tige whelped 1896 sire. Colby's Patty, dam. Colby's Jenny's Pit weight. 35 pounds created and owned by John P. Colby. Newburyport, Massachusetts. Tige was victor over Captain Dan Rose in 3 hours and 27 minutes, at Hartford, Connecticut, November 26, 1898. He was a producer of many game dogs, including Bruce Connell's Sandy, who beat Reddington's Boxer in 3 hours 30 minutes, in Pittston, Pennsylvania, and Leaming's Butte, beat Jim French's Yellow Dog and Boyd's Malachi. The American Pit Bull Terrier by Secretary Bennett / I have been invited by Mr. Joseph L. Colby to submit a short article on this great breed, presenting my highlights and those of the United Kennel Club Incorporated, in connection with them, and I will try to give you the facts as I know them. This article should be condensed as it covers a period of 40 years or more. I have been familiar with this excellent breed since the 1890s or earlier. In 1895 I purchased an excellent white and fawn dog from a breeder in Coatesville, Pennsylvania, paying $45 for him. The breeder sent me the dog's breeding and pedigree, but they were not a recognized breed at that time, and although at that time I was very interested in pedigrees and registrations, simply because they were not a recognized breed, that breeding and pedigree were destroyed over the natural course of events after the dog's death. I have often wished that I had maintained that pedigree or at least made a UKC registration, whether they were a recognized breed or not. I don't remember the breeder's name, the breeder I bought it from. He was a beautiful dog and never started a fight. He played with other dogs like a puppy, but if a dog jumped on him it was a shame. His weight was around 45 pounds, a real giant at the time. Throughout his life he had several street fights, always whipping the bastards who jumped on him. A local newspaper once ran, "A few shots of cold lead would be a good thing for the bulldog who is always fighting." That was a mistake and got me thinking about the breed more than ever because he absolutely wouldn't fight unless some stray dog came along and started. Simply because he whipped these bastards, he gained a bad reputation. If the bastard had whipped him, then of course it would have been fine. At that time, the only recognized bull terrier was the all-white, almond-eyed English bull terrier, any other color was a stray. Personally, I knew better and that colors other than pure white were the stronger purebred of the two and the more popular dog. A few years later, the United Kennel Club registration offices recognized them as a distinct breed and you know the rest. They increased in popularity with each year that followed and thousands upon thousands of them were bred and registered by some of the most advanced and caring breeders in North America. For the success of the breed, breeders must be given great credit for staying together, as a divided house cannot stand. In the dog game we have the fools and charlatans and cheats as well as in other channels of life, and every now and then one or a few of these come up here and there and try to bust this great bloodline, but so far they have not been successful and it is very doubtful now that they ever will. In the past, as well as in the present and in the future, there have been, are and will be many chiselers, who, for the sake of a few dollars in application fees, advertising fees, etc., will resort to all kinds of trickery to separate this great race, and such an act will only spell doom for them and they will travel the path of many of the other forgotten races. The American Pit Bull Terrier, a multipurpose dog. The general public is under the impression that this breed is carnivorous, cruel and, fed a raw meat diet, would devour a human being. It is very easy to be misled into believing this to be true. I know of no other breed that is as true, loyal, gentle and affectionate as the American Pit Bull Terrier. However, these traits can be shown in all sincerity on the part of the dog, and a few minutes later, pitted against another dog, he will fight back with the cunning instinct of a wild animal intent on killing. As a companion, watchdog and friend, he is unsurpassed. A properly trained and educated dog will perform more functions than any breed I know. As a companion, he is always interested in whatever his master does and is willing to serve him at all times. I know a lady who owned many different breeds of dogs. In her opinion, the most affectionate dog she ever owned was an American Pit Bull Terrier. Her dog would follow her around the house during the day, but never too close to get in the way. This dog understood his owner remarkably and could do almost anything but talk. As a guard dog, he is unsurpassed. This book could be written 5 times over on this subject, considering the American Pit Bull Terrier as a guard dog. Recently, the writer sold a dog to a group that got into trouble with thieves stealing their chickens and fuel. This group didn't particularly care about the dog's bloodlines or breed, just so he was a guard dog that would stop thieves carrying chickens and fuel. The pound had exhausted itself from so-called watchdogs, but to no avail. Since purchasing this dog, there has been no theft of chickens or fuel. However, this dog is kind and gentle. It doesn't go out of its way to bite anyone that comes along, but it has an instinct to know right from wrong when guarding its master's property. The question of who has more intelligence, a stray puppy of unknown parentage or the pedigreed dog, has been discussed and studied by men interested in this form of research. The answer can easily be found by simply going to the movies while Our Gang is playing. One of the most prominent actors is an American Pit Bull Terrier, and has been for the past few years. This breed is known to make excellent hunting dogs, provided they are properly trained at the right age. This brings to mind a guy who bought a young dog for his future father-in-law as a gift. The gentleman, interested in hunting, took the dog with him on a hunting trip. He quickly saw the possibility of turning the dog into a hunting dog. With constant training, the dog would point and freeze or point until told to relax. He would run a trail until it ran to land. He would dig all day if necessary to get a rabbit out, but on a deer he was at his best. It is not possible, however, to make a hunting dog out of every American Pit Bull Terrier. As pets, they are gentle with children and will take a lot of abuse without so much as a whimper. In all the years I've been associated with these dogs, I only remember being bitten once, and that was entirely my fault. As a boy, he used to go around the kennel and pet the dogs. On that occasion, I approached a strange, shy dog that had not been raised around children. I put my hand out to pet him and he pinched my arm, believing I was going to hit him. When it is said that this breed will withstand a lot of abuse from children, it brings to mind an incident that happened a few years ago when a child bit the tip of a dog's tail and the dog just took it as a playful gesture. And just licked the tip of the tail, assuring the child that all was well. Diagnosing this breed as an all-rounder, he has strength, is proportionately built, and has the character, disposition, and courage required to make a dog of this type. Kept on a chain and fed raw meat will not make him cruel. He will be as affable and playful as any pampered pet of the canine breed. For anyone interested in owning a multipurpose dog, they should select an American Pit Bull Terrier puppy. The writer does not believe that the buyer would sell the puppy 6 months later for twice the price he paid. Donovan's Tige Registry No. 26592 created and owned by Pete Donovan. Erie, Pennsylvania. Tige was a 2-battle winner and was open to competing for 2 years against any 45-pound dog in the world for $1,000 a side. Later it was sold in Mexico. Selecting a puppy and making your selection of a puppy, it is important to consider the reliability of the breeder. The dog business is like any other, and as such, it has its hucksters, liars, and thieves. It would be an advantage to visit the breeder when making your selection. By doing this, you have a preference for selection rather than ordering from a distant breeder. In some cases, it is impossible to make a personal selection. It is usually preferred to send away to a distant location, believing that the stock is better than one close to home. When buying a puppy, you must first determine what sex you want. As a rule, females make better pets than males and are more affectionate due to their maternal instinct. They are smarter, more willing to obey, and easier to break into the house. They must be carefully guarded for about 3 weeks twice a year when they ripen. Otherwise, they are very clean about themselves and do not bother the family. The male has a more attractive appearance, but cannot be let loose. It must be kept chained or on a long chain. Occasionally, your player will be asked to service, and this will allow you to lower their purchase price. Before making your future purchase, please make sure you receive your pedigree or registration certificate, that the puppy is in good health, free of defects and with the warranty as represented. Selecting the TJ/HEN offspring matron. Buying an offspring matron, there are many important things to take into consideration. Firstly, it is best to get one that is due in season for the first time, which is usually from 7 months up to 1 year of age. That way, you get all the benefits of the bitch's reproductive life. In my experience, I think it doesn't hurt to breed a bitch the first time she goes into heat. Some people disagree and wait until the second. However, that is up to the bitch's owner. When buying a matron of litter, it costs no more to feed a good one than a poor one. If it is possible to familiarize yourself with the bloodlines of your prospective purchase, do so for all the means. Select a reliable breeder who has gained a reputation for honest and fair dealings in the sale of dogs. Normally, the quality of a bitch is regulated by the price you can pay. Either way, pay as much as your wallet can afford. You won't be sorry if you own it as well as the man you bought it from. The first symptom that a woman is in heat is how often she empties her bowels. Watch her closely from this date. Isolate her immediately and keep her well protected from other dogs that reach her. Experience has proven that the best time to breed a bitch is 8 to 12 days after the discharge appears. At this stage, the discharge will not seem so noticeable. The gestation period is 63 days from the time of breeding service. However, some bitches will whelp 2 or 3 days before whelping. During the gestation period, she should have normal exercise and be fed lightly for the first 4 weeks. Often a matron will miss the pregnancy if she is going to put on too much weight or through lack of exercise. For the last 5 weeks she should be fed twice a day, and care should be taken that she does not do any violent exercise. She must be kept silent at all times. In case of violent exercise, a miscarriage can occur, which can be fatal for matrona and also for the litter. 10 days before giving birth, she should have a permanent room, where she will get used to it and not be nervous at the time of childbirth. After the puppies arrive, she does not allow strangers to visit them. It can cause discomfort to the female and, at this stage, care must be taken to prevent her from wanting to dispose of her litter. A bitch with puppies should be fed 3 times a day. Your morning meal should be dog milk. The midday meal should consist of whatever solid food she is accustomed to. The evening meal should consist of cooked meat with cooked vegetables, allowing her to consume the liquid in which the meal was prepared. This should be their diet until the puppies are weaned. Weaning of puppies is usually 5 to 7 weeks after birth. After the puppies are weaned, the bitch should be fed solid food twice a day until such time as she has regained her normal life. When purchasing a female for breeding, you must obtain one that has been drawn from fight-tested combat stock. Make sure she is in good health, sound and free from any defects, also if she has pedigree or can have it. Selecting the sport stud dog. When making your selection of a stud dog, you want to consider several important things. First and foremost, you should consult with the top kennels that have a reputation for fair and honest dealings. When you find the dog you like best, make sure he is a registered dog, or eligible for registration, as you will find that your stud dog services will be more in demand once they know he is registered. In selecting a dog for breeding, it is advisable to purchase one that is at least 1 year old and no older than 5 years old. The dog's best years are within this era. As the dog gets older, it usually loses the quality of printing in the puppies. This is because the breed must be kept on a chain or in a corral and does not receive much regular and proper exercise, which is so important for its purpose. One of the most important things to consider before purchasing the stud dog is that it is free from defects. Make sure he doesn't have undershot, cow-hock, bow-legged or any other defect. He should be well proportioned, have a regular bite, strong and punishing jaw. Whether the dog is to be used on their own females or offered on stud farms to the public, it is advisable to get one that is up to standard as much as possible. A stud dog requires a lot of exercise and should not be kept too fat. His diet should be meat, and occasionally he can be fed a dog biscuit or a can of dog food. I have found that if the dog's meal is prepared in different ways, he will develop a healthy appetite, which is essential for good health. He can be fed raw meat cut into strips 3 or 4 times a week. The rest of the week he can have the meat cooked with fresh vegetables. Be careful not to add starchy ingredients to cooked meat, potatoes, cornmeal, rolled oats or bread. Too much starch is not good for a dog. Before closing on the subject of the stud dog, remember to buy, if possible, a dog whose ancestors were known for their gameness and fighting records. If you advertise him as a stud to the public, the information is excellent material to create a desire to use your dog for breeding services. Selecting the pit dog. There are no set rules to remember when purchasing a pit dog. The pit dog is one that gains fame and fortune from 15 months to 3 and even 4 years of age. He's a dog that wouldn't even give a dog show a second glance for its beauty, nor get much credit as a trickster circus dog. He may not even make a good house dog or guard dog, but whipped and pitted will make up for any other use this breed could be put to. He will fight, and, if he is in a fight, he will continue as long as it takes and gain fame for himself and fortune for his owner. This is the pit dog. When you buy a pit dog, unless you buy one that has actually been tried, found one that has won record fights, you are taking a risk. Thousands of dollars are spent every year by men who buy what they think is a game dog. Games dogs are few and far between. When they are available, the price is high. So unless it's proven, you take the risk. The best method for purchasing a pit dog is to select a reliable breeder who has a good stock and a reputation for breeding their dogs for the ring. There are several good breeders across the country who have proven bloodlines and whose dogs have become famous as fighting artists. Get in touch with one of these breeders, explain that you want a dog created for game, informing the weight and age you want. The best age to have a pit dog is any age up to 18 months. Chances are, the dog wasn't spoiled in the ring, and the dog's fighting ability didn't pass the test of gameness. Therefore, you will know as much as the breeder about the dog's individual fighting qualities. When educating the pit dog, there is no age limit to be followed. It is advisable to try the young dog in no more than 5 minutes the first time. This should be against a dog that he can easily control and also smaller. He will have plenty of time to face a tough opponent later. The pit dog must be given a 5-minute test every 2 weeks until he has 15 minutes accredited to him. Then, a month later, he must take a 10-minute test. 1 month from this date, give it another 10 minutes. 2 months later, take a 15-minute test. This ensures your dog is free of open wounds and fresh scars. If he got a nasty cut, use your own judgment to know when he should be tried again. Let's assume 2 months later he's ready for another test. This time, he must do a 10-day workout. He should walk around and do light work on the treadmill so he doesn't get too fat. Try it out for 30 minutes, using, of course, a dog that he can easily control. This is to boost your confidence and courage. Until this period of schooling, the dog should always have had as an opponent a dog that he could handle easily, and not heavier than himself. At the end of each trial, he must be made to scratch 30 seconds after the handle. If he acts right, he'll itch and want to come back for more, but take him away immediately and don't let him see the other dog. 2 months from now, start conditioning and training like you're going to fight him for money. When you have completed this training period, place him on top of a good strong dog that is as heavy as he is, a few pounds heavier, for 20 minutes. When time is up, take the other dog outside and bring in a new dog with the same skill. Let your dog go against the cool dog for another 20 minutes. At the end of this period, your dog will have completed a 40-minute test. Scratch it to see how it acts when approaching your opponent. If he acts playfully and doesn't show any flaws, you've made a good investment. Once your dog has recovered from these tests, he is ready to take on any dog at his weight, paying whatever money you have to bet. When buying a young pit dog, don't be put off that he doesn't show the first few times or two. It may be that he is not ready to start this long road. I owned a female dog that could fight one when she was only 9 months old. At 11 months, she chastised a 3-year-old bitch, much heavier than she was, so badly that the other bitch gave up in 13 minutes. I also had a female dog that refused to wrestle until she was 2.5 years old. Once started, she freaked out at the sight of another dog. I once had 2 brothers from the same belly. One fought 20 minutes against a younger sister of 7 months. The other brother actually wouldn't fight until he was 2 years old. After he was properly educated and trained, he was fighting death by the end of 35 minutes in his gameness test. A pit dog should never be abused or mistreated. He should never be used as a stud during his fighting career, as this lowers his stamina and takes away his fire. Give him as much exercise as possible and don't keep him fat. Never clip a fighting dog's ears, as it leaves too much of the inside exposed and can do considerable damage if your opponent picks it up. Before closing the subject of a pit dog, remember that color is not essential. Study, if possible, your potential dog's ancestors. See that he is healthy, free from defects, and is guaranteed to represent him. Don't let the price get in the way if you want a quality dog of good pedigree.
That was the first part of Joseph Colby's book. Leave a like, share, that helps me. Sign up so you don't miss the second part. God bless you all. I went.